Shalom Yasharallah, giving all praise and glory to the Most High, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I want to start off with Colossians 3 and 17. We're going to be looking at how we were scattered among the nations tonight. It's very important that we know a little bit of our story. So as always, I'm starting with Colossians 3:17, and whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all by SHAM, YAHAWASHI. Give me thanks to the Most High and the Father by SHAM, YAHAWASHI. So all that we say and do is going to be in the name of the Lord and Savior, MASHAYACH, YAHAWASHI. He says, no man cometh to the Father but by him. And it's no New Testament when he's saying this. So that's why David said in Psalms 110 and 1, the Most High said unto my power, MASHAYACH, YAHAWASHI, sit thee on my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool. So we are still waiting on the Most High to say, Krama Madawi, Krama Mashiach YAHAWASHI. He rise himself, tell Mashiach YAHAWASHI to rise, then we gonna rise. Yashar Allah, Kram Yashar Allah, forever and ever and ever. So I want to start out today with Deuteronomy, book of Deuteronomy. As a matter of fact, yeah, Deuteronomy 4 and 7. Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, the 7th verse. And I want to thank all of those that support the ministry for the work that's being done to bring forth this truth in these last days. The water, thank you. Deuteronomy 4 and verse 27. Well, let's look at verse 26. It says, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land, meaning the land of Israel that we were on, Yasharallah, whereunto ye go over Jordan to possess it. Say you're going to go over Jordan to possess this land. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it. You say you ain't going to prolong your days upon this land of Israel, but shall utterly be destroyed. If we didn't follow the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. Do what he say do, his rules and regulations. Listen to what he said, verse 27. And the Most High shall scatter you among the nations. So he's telling us this long before it happened. He said the Most High, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob being the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel, shall scatter you among the nations. And ye shall be left few in number among the heathen. So these nations means Goyim, which means nations, or Gentiles or heathen. They're outside of the 12 tribes of Israel. He said we're going to be left few in number. I mean, he's going to kill a lot of us when we go among these nations. To be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Most High shall lead you. See? He said, and there you shall serve gods, powers, and work of men's hands, idols, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. That you know they're nothing. But if, this is a condition, Yasharallah, from thence, when we scatter among these nations, from thence, he said, but if from thence thou shalt seek the Most High thy power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, thou shalt find him. If thou seek him with all thy heart, with all your mind, and with all thy soul, everything, every fiber of your spirit. He said, when thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days. We're in the last days, y'all. You better realize, you ain't knowing, you better know. When thou art in tribulation, Jacob's trouble, and all these things are come upon thee, like the plagues that the Most High put on this earth right now, one after the other. Even in the latter days, it's saying, this is the last days. The time we in now. If thou turn to the Most High thy power, which we supposed to be repenting and turning to the Most High, coming back to his laws, statutes, commandments, his rules and regulations, and shall be obedient. Only way you be obedient is to do exactly what he say do. Unto his voice. His voice is heard through the words of this Bible. For the Most High thy power is a merciful power. Mercy is not getting something you do deserve. He will not forsake thee. Hear what he say? He will not forsake us, Yasharallah. Neither destroy us. Nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he sware unto them. The covenant he made with Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, to the 12 tribes of Israel. Let me make that perfectly clear, because a lot of people say the covenant has been done away with. Anybody can be in the covenant, any nation. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. Go to Psalms 105 and 8. It's clear. He said, he remembereth his covenant, which is agreement, a contract. How long? Forever. The word which he commanded to 1,000 generations, which covenant he made with Abraham, and is open to Isaac. Remember, Abraham had a son named Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob. Isaac had a son named Jacob. But Abraham had Ishmael first, and Isaac had Esau first. But you see who the Most High chose? It's clear. He said he's going to remember his covenant forever. With who? With Abraham. And his oath unto Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law. Not only to Jacob, but to who else? And to Israel, that's the Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel, for an everlasting covenant. There it is. So when you see the Most High say covenant, it's to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, to the 12 tribes of Israel. Only. He said forever. Going back to Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, in the law. Verse 31, for the Most High thy power is a merciful power. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he sware unto them. But you have those that are destroyed. That's 2/3 of our people, because they forgot the law. Like a lot of you out there that's Christians, that's don't know anything about the moral laws, the civil laws, the dietary laws, the ceremonial laws. You celebrating Christmas. And got the nerve to say it's a MASHAYACH's birthday, your Jesus' birthday. Come on now. What are you doing for him? How's he being honored? Y'all done bought a Christmas tree up in the church? That's an idol. They got places that sell idols. That's all they put right there. In place of them idols, Christmas trees. But you don't care. That's why the Most High said you got to let the multitude perish therein, which was born in vain. And let my grape and let my plant be kept, for with great labor have I made it perfect. It takes a lot of work to be made perfect by the Most High. This ain't something that you could take lightly. You see? He's laboring to make us perfect. But you're not going to be made perfect if you continue to follow the things that you have learned amongst the heathen, amongst the nations, amongst the Gentiles, and think that's all right with the Most High. Would say he ain't dealing with nobody but us. Show me where the Most High dealing with any of these other nations, like he's dealing with us. The covenant is with who? Abraham, Isaac, to Jacob, to the 12 tribes of Israel. Forever, it said. That's his agreement that he made. That's why he said, Deuteronomy 4:31, for the Most High thy power is a merciful power. Hallelujah. He will not forsake thee, nor destroy thee, nor forget the covenant or the contract with agreement that he had with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob of thy fathers, which is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which he sware unto them. See? For ask now of the days that are past. That's why we're looking into the scriptures and asking of the days that are past, which were before thee. All these days were before us. since the day that the Most High created man upon the earth, going all the way back to Genesis. And acts from the one side of heaven unto the other. Acts this way, that way. What went on? What happened? Whether there has been any such thing as this great thing is, or have been heard like it. Name it. He's saying, did ever people hear the voice of the Most High speaking out of the midst of a fire, as thou hast heard and lived? He's talking about these other nations. Name them. Did ever people ever hear the voice of the Most High speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard and lived? Answer that question. What nation? Or have the Most High essayed to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation by temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all that the Most High, your power, yours a personal possessive pronoun showing ownership, Yasharallah, Israelites, did for you, where? In Egypt, before your eyes, them 10 plagues that he put upon the Egyptians, he said, what nation? Unto thee, unto we, the Israelites, was it showed, that thou might have known that the Most High, he is the power. There is none else beside him. Hallelujah. His glorious and holy name. So, this is what you got to look at. You know, he told us he's going to scatter us among these nations, among the Gentiles, among the heathen. But he still came back and said, remember this. Go back to the days of old and remember what I did. That's what he said. That's what he's bragging on himself. Out of heaven, verse 36, out of heaven, he made thee to hear his voice, that he might instruct thee. And upon earth, he showed thee his great fire. And thou heard of his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, their children after them, and brought thee out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt, to drive out nations from before thee, greater and mightier than thou art, to bring thee in, to give thee their land for an inheritance, as it is this day. Know therefore this day, and consider it in thine heart, in your mind. Consider this in your mind, thus say the Most High, that the Most High, he is the power in heaven, above, and upon the earth, beneath, there is none else. Thou shalt keep therefore his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee this day, that it may go well with thee. So what do you think? He telling us this. So how do you think you can say that we're not under the law and it's going to be well with you? No matter how you look at it, you're going to be dealt with the fearfulness, the terror, or the matter of fact, the king of terrors, the Most High, for not doing what he say do. Can't get no clearer than that. Thou shalt keep therefore his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee this day, that it may go well with thee, and with thy children after thee, and that thou mayest prolong thy days upon the earth, which the Most High thy power giveth thee forever. See? So don't forget what he said. Going back to verse 27. And the Most High shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number, among the heathen. So these nations are heathens to the Most High. Whither the Most High shall lead you. This is the Most High. He the one that's doing this. Said he gonna do it. Deuteronomy 18. You know, a lot of times the Most High reminds us of things over and over again. Because he said, it tells you in Job 33:14, Most High speak once, yea, twice, man perceive it not. So he reminds us over and over again, and we get it sometimes we don't. Listen what it says. Deuteronomy 18 and 9. When thou art come into the land which the Most High thy power giveth thee, the land of what these Hamites had, so what Africans today have, 7 nations mightier than us, When thou art come into the land which the Most High thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. Hear what he said? When we come into these lands that he's going to give us, the inheritance that he gave us, he said, you shall not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. He said, we should not do according to the abomination, the filthy, wicked act, the sins of those nations. We're not supposed to be doing it. There shall not be found among you any one that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire. That's what they were doing. Or they use divination, witchcraft, sorcery, and all that stuff. Or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, see? Or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Most High. And because of these abominations, the Most High thy power does drive them out from before thee. Hear what he said? Because they're doing these things, why the Most High going to drive them out from before us to give us their lands. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Most High. And because of these abominations, the Most High thy power does drive them, these nations that's doing these things, out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with the Most High, your power, thy power. You understand? So don't think that you can't be perfect. The Most High said, thou shalt be perfect with the Most High, thy power, with the Most High, your power. For these nations which thou shalt possess hearkeneth unto observers of times, and unto diviners. But as for thee, the Most High thy power have not suffered thee so to do. He tell us to do that. You look at where we at now. These nations, that's why you see look at the dollar bill. Turn it over. You'll see all kind of Egyptian and Babylonian inscriptions or idols on even the dollar bill. That's why the Most High said this to the people that's ruling the world today, the Edomites. He said in Isaiah 47, look what they stand by. And verse 12, he says, stand now with thine enchantments. Remember, he said, don't deal with this. A lot of our people falling into this. Stand now with thine enchantments, he said. And with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit. If so be thou mayest prevail. Hear that? Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now, this is what the Most High is saying to them, let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and say thee from these things that shall come upon thee, as the Most High bring forth his judgment upon this earth. Behold, they shall be as stubble like tumbleweeds. The fire shall burn them. He coming with fire. He not going to flood the earth anymore with water. That's why he had a rainbow in the sky to remind himself that he's not going to flood the earth anymore. He's going to bring fire. He's going to purify this earth with fire. That's why he say, behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a cold to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter. They going back home. None shall save thee. You hear what he say? Ain't nobody going to be able to save them. Like nobody was able to save these Egyptians or these Hamites from the Most High tearing them down, giving us their land, and telling us not to follow their abominations, their filthy, wicked acts. But what do? Over and over again. Daniel's 9:11. Like I said, the answers are he telling us what to do, what we do. Yeah. All Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing from the Most High's law, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses that we're reading about in Deuteronomy, the servant of the Most High, because we have sinned against him. He told us what he's going to do. There's nothing we can say or do, because he told us in Deuteronomy 18:9, he said, when thou art come into the land which the Most High thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. Hear what he said? We're not supposed to be doing after the abominations, the filthy wicked acts, the sins of those nations. So he's telling us then to the end, we're not supposed to be doing the abominations of those nations. We're not supposed to be following the abominations of those nations. Those nations are dealing with, I can tell you, Psalm 96:5, for all the gods of the nations are idols. You can't make it say anything different. You can't make it mean anything different. He said, learn not their ways. Here we are now. You following the ways of the heathen. It was against the law in America to keep Christmas. Everybody didn't accept that. Just became a national holiday, or holiday, I might say, in 1870. I thought America was established, but it came got us in 1619. So they was doing some business. They came here in 1492, didn't they? Central America, you see, making their way out. Amerigo Vespucci. America named after Amerigo Vespucci. Why isn't it United States of Columbus? Because Columbus never came here. Amerigo Vespucci came here. Murder Incorporated. You see, it's named after him. So now, here we are following the way. The Most High said, don't learn their ways. But here we are following just what he said not to do. Here we are doing it. We doing it. In your face all day, every day. Waiting on what? Valentine's Day now. Christmas is here. Now they're waiting on Valentine's Day. You already got to, watch, you go to your store tomorrow, Valentine's Day gonna be, give me your money, give me your money. I want y'all money. Give me that money. I want that money. Understand this. Y'all know what y'all got to do. Give me that money. That's what it's all about. No more, no less, and following the way of the heathen, their gods. So now, let's go to Deuteronomy 28, verse 37. Deuteronomy 28 chapter, from 15 all the way to 68 are the curses that we just was talked about when we say the curses of Moses that Moses gave us. These are the curses that it's talking about. Deuteronomy 28:37. It's one of them. And thou shalt become an astonishment. Hear that? We will become astonishment. A proverb and a byword, all the different names they call us. Think about it. A byword. I've asked the brothers and some sisters, mostly brothers though, what's your nationality? What's your race? And it comes from your father's father. You can go back that far, your grandfather, you can go back to your great-grandfather, definitely on point. But I got 104 different identities of who we are as a race. 104. Because there's so many, outrageous names and identities that they said it had to be added. It had to be added. A byword. Among all nations, whither the Most High shall lead thee. Because we ain't follow what he say do. Here we are. Jump up to verse 64. And verse 65 of Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. And the Most High shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there, when we go among these other nations, thou shalt serve other gods. You hear that? Other gods, just like it is today. Anytime, what God, I'm asking a question. if y'all could tell me, what God is they telling you? I don't like to use that word because that's a European invention. That's dog spelled backwards. That's what they did. They were called dogs, and they took the word dog and they made it go backwards and came up with G-O-D. Do your research. They created Lord and God. And they made us call them God. You can't deny that. Come on. They made us call them God. A lot of you still to this day, this your God. Caesar Borgia. Or the one that was drawn after the fact. There it is. That's your God. Until this day. He said, and the Most High shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there, when you be scattered among these other heathens, these other nations, these other Gentiles, and there thou shalt serve other gods. Go serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. What's the cross made of? Wood and a stone, like you got the cobblestone, you got Buddha, you got all these different religions, If you can prove to me that December 25th is who you call Jesus' birthday, if you can prove to me, since y'all put a Christmas tree up in the church and decorated it with all these bulbs and lights and ornaments and so forth, that's what a MASHAYACH did. Anywhere in the Bible, we're told to do that as the Israelites, as the people of the Most High. So if y'all want to be like the people of the Most High, you should do what the people of the Most High did. Did they do that? Did we do that? In righteousness. Show forth your understanding. Bring forth the scriptures. Because I'll show you where we didn't, and the Most High told us not to. But here we are doing it, and it's right there in the church. Today. Right there in the church. He said, and among these nations, shall thou find no ease. Hear what he said? We're going to find no ease, Yasharallah. That means we're going to be in a condition called hell. Jacob's trouble. Neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. Hear that? Neither shall the sole of our foot have rest. But the Most High shall give thee there a trembling heart. He's telling us what he's going to do. They saying don't come to L.A. It's like the purge. So many people getting killed. A trembling heart. You're going to be scared. And failing of eyes. And sorrow of mind. We did this to ourselves. Because he told us what he's going to do. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee. And thou shalt fear day and night. And shall have none assurance of thy life. Brothers thinking that they'd have made it past 25 years old. That's no assurance of your life. That's us. What other people have rap songs or songs, period, that talk about killing each other. Drugs and calling our women all kind of names. Name them. We messed up, man. We a bunch of degenerates, as the Most High call us, man. Call us a whole lot of things beside that. Here we are. Deuteronomy 29. Let's look at verse 16. For ye know how we have dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the nations which ye passed by. And ye have seen their abominations, their filthy wicked acts and sins, and their idols, wood and stone. See? These other nations, idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them. Lest there should be among you man or woman or family or tribe whose heart, that's the way you think, your mind turneth away this day from the Most High, our power, to go and serve their gods of these nations, as it is today. Lest there should be among you a root that beareth gall and wormwood. And it come to pass, meaning in the future, once you do this, it come to pass, when he heareth the words of this curse, that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the imagination of mine heart, to add drunkenness to thirst. You know, following away, being influenced by these nations that we went into captivity under, that the Most High say he's going to scatter us among. But he's going to find the imagination of mine heart, imagine of your mind. That's what Ecclesiastes 3:24. But many are deceived by their own vain or worthless imagination. What did it say? In the imagination of mine heart, in the imagination of the way I think, how I feel. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion is overthrown their judgment. He allowed the devil to come in to make them make the wrong judgment. And now you got to pay. That's why I say to add drunkenness to thirst. You see, when you're drunk, you're influenced. What? You out of order. You out of character. The Most High will not spare him. Hear that? The Most High will not spare him. But then the anger of the Most High and his jealousy shall smoke against that man. And all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him. You want that? Some of you already dealing with it. And you already confessed that. Oh, I'm cursed, I'm cursed, I'm cursed. All the curses that lie up in this book, that are written in this book, shall lie upon him. You want that? And the Most High shall blot out his name from under heaven. Woo! And the Most High blot out your name from under heaven, where do you think you're going? Into the lake of fire. Into the lake of fire. Into the lake of fire, where the worms never die and the fires never quench. What do you hear what he said? And the Most High, this is the Most High, you got to deal with the Most High on this. I'm just a messenger. It says, and the Most High shall blot out his name from under heaven. And the Most High, who's the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Jacob being the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel only, shall separate him unto evil out of all the tribes of Israel. Since you want to follow your own vain opinion and let this evil suspicion overthrow your judgment, Most High said, that's why I say when Most High is righteous, and when you do evil, you think evil, you speak evil, you act upon evil, therefore you are evil. And you bring the evil to you. This is what the Most High said, and the Most High shall separate him unto what? Evil out of all the tribes of Israel. According to all the curses of this covenant, this contract, this agreement that the Most High made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to the 12 tribes of Israel that are written in this book of the law. So that the generation, this is why he's doing it, so that the generation, the people, the children that's going to come after this, to come of your children, of our children as the Israelite children, that shall rise up after you, and the strangers that shall come from a far land shall say, when they see the plagues of that land, and the sicknesses which the Most High have laid upon it, and that the whole land thereof is brimstone, and salt, and burning, that it is not sown, ain't nothing growing on this land, nor beareth, nor any grass groweth therein. That's real, y'all. You look at it, beautiful land. How come nothing's growing? Because he said he's going to do this. It is a fact that he's not a liar. He did it until this day. That is not sown, nor beareth, nor any grass groweth therein, like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah, and Zebulun, which the Most High overthrew in his anger and in his wrath. Burn those cities up. But he left us the sight of a city being there. He burned it down like, the fires come in California, just burn everything down to the ground. Ain't nothing there but dust and smell of smoke. No. He left the remnants of those cities. He burned it up, right? But he closed it in with whatever chemical it is, whatever this material it is that he burned it up with. And it still catch on fire. But he left it so you could see that. The African statues and the buildings, they closed in. You can't go inside. But you got the pillars and everything, got the roof. Ancient. At that time. Still there. Come on now. That's the Most High. That's why he's saying. It's going to be like brimstone, as he did like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, which the Most High overthrew in his anger and in his wrath. Like he's going to overthrow these cities and these kingdoms that's in this earth now, in his anger and in his wrath, as it is written. Even all nations shall say, wherefore has the Most High done thus unto this land? Why has the Most High done this unto this land? Everybody gonna say, they look at it, they say, why did he do this to this land? I'm talking about beautiful land. Look at sight-wise, but ain't nothing growing there. What meaneth the heat of this great anger? Then men shall say, because they have forsaken the covenant of the Most High power of their fathers. We read who the covenant is with. Abraham to Isaac to Jacob to the 12 tribes of Israel. So it's only talking about the Israelites. Can't nobody else get themselves in there if they're not of the 12 tribes of Israel. Point blank. You see? Then men shall say, because they have forsaken the covenant, the contract, the agreement of the Most High power of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them forth out of the land of Egypt. For they went and served other gods. He told us not to do this. But we went and served other gods, other powers, the idols of the nations, and worshiped them like you worshiping the god Nimrod today and calling it Jesus. And they went and served other gods and worshiped them, gods whom they knew not, and whom he had not given unto them. Same thing you're doing now. And the anger of the Most High was kindled against this land to bring upon it all the curses that are written in this book. The Most High rooted them out of their land in anger. He kicked us out of the land of Israel in anger and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land as it is this day. We in another land, scattered in the four corners of the earth, in another land, and not in our homeland of Israel. I'm telling you. Let's go to Deuteronomy 30. Listen to what it says. Hear the word of the Most High. And it shall come to pass in the future, when all these things are come upon thee, when all these things happen to you, the blessing and the curse. Look at the blessing. Only how are we going to be blessed? Only way we was blessed, Deuteronomy 28, 1 and 2, he said. And it shall come to pass in the future, as we talking about the future here in Deuteronomy 30, and it shall come to pass, same thing you always say. In the future, no matter when that is, it was Michael second after he said, that's the future. It wasn't the present. So Deuteronomy 28, 1 says, and it shall come to pass in the future, if thou shalt hearken, meaning listen diligently unto the voice of the Most High, thy power, your power, Yasharallah, 12 tribes of Israel, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Most High, thy power, your power, Israel, the Most High, your power, will set thee on high. How high? Above all nations of the earth. If we observe to do all his commandments, not just think them, but do them. And all these blessings, since we hear, for the blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee. If was a condition we have to do, thou shalt hearken, listen unto the voice of the Most High thy power. We just read in Daniel 9:11. We listen to the voice of the Most High. We transgressed against him. So going back to Deuteronomy 30th chapter, verse 1. And it shall come to pass in the future, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, hear that? Among all the nations, whither the Most High thy power have driven thee. We're going to think about it like we're thinking about it now. As Israelites. Wow, we going to them curses, man. That's us. Wow, we got to repent and come back to the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among the nations, whither the Most High thy power have driven thee, and shall return unto the Most High thy power by keeping his commandments, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Most High thy power will turn thy captivity. You see? That's why you keep hearing us say, repent and keep the commandments of the Most High. Then the Most High is going to turn thy captivity. He's going to turn our captivity. It's coming off of us. All praise to the Most High. And then the Most High thy power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee. Instead of his wrath and indignation and fury, he's going to have compassion upon us as we come back to his commandments. But how you going to follow the commandments? You taught you that under the law, which is the commandments. That then the Most High thy power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither the Most High thy power have scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, which is this earth, from thence will the Most High thy power gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. He gonna gather us from all four corners of the earth. So he gonna fetch us from all four corners of the earth, where he has scattered us, when we come back to his commandments, follow his laws. So don't listen to nobody tell you not under the law. You ain't under the law. You ain't under the law of sacrifice, but your body got to be a living sacrifice now, and it takes a sacrifice not doing something you desire to do. And the Most High thy power will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possess, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good. He say he's going to do us good. And multiply thee, meaning we'll have a lot of children above thy fathers. We tell you one going to bring forth 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. And the Most High thy power will circumcise thine heart. He's going to circumcise our mind, the way we think, and the heart of thy seed, and the minds of our children, to love the Most High thy power with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. We can't love him. First John 5:3 said, for this is the love of the Most High, that we keep his commandments. Commandments are not grievous. You can't love the Most High and don't do what he say do. How you love him? And you doing whatever you want to do. You follow your own vain opinion, your own mind, your own thinking. It has nothing to do with the Most High. Nobody asking, well, how the Most High feel about this? Do you think about how he feel about it so you can do whatever it is that he telling us to do here? To be blessed? You supposed to know. You ain't asking, so you supposed to know. That you can live. Verse 7, and the Most High thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies. Ain't that something? So he will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. That's what's happening. You know, as we come back to the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, don't let nobody persuade you not to keep the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. He said, and the Most High thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. That's past tense. You see? Which persecuted us. So don't look at it. Oh, I didn't do it. Okay. You still gonna be persecuted for what your ancestors did, which persecuted thee. Like we paid for what our ancestors done. And thou shalt, as it is written, and thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Most High. Why we gotta return? Because we went off. In not following the voice of the Most High, our power. And thou shalt return, that's why we gotta return to him. And obey the voice of the Most High, thy power, and do all his commandments. Hear what he say? Can't get no clearer than this. Do all his commandments which I command thee this day. Moral laws, civil laws, dietary laws, ceremonial laws that we can follow today to the best of our ability. The sacrificial law is here as Moses given it to us through the power of the Most High. But MASHAYACH was the ultimate sacrifice. We're not sacrificing animals for the atonement of our sins anymore. Who's doing that? That ended. And the Most High thy power will make thee plenteous. Hear that? Plenteous in every work of thine hand, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land, for good. For the Most High will again rejoice over thee for good, as you rejoice over thy fathers. Hear that? That's the blessing. Plenteous of everything. And you notice, everywhere we went to captivity, the superpower of the earth, they benefited too. If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power, because we were wicked and evil and not following the commandments of the Most High, therefore we went into captivity, and being in captivity, Most High blessed those nations that we were in captivity under. But now that we coming back to the law, such commandments of the Most High gonna curse them. He gonna say, what he say he gonna do? Verse 7, and the Most High thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. When we come back to his commandments, doing what's right. That's how we get up out of here. Verse 9, and the Most High thy power will make thee plenteous in every work of thine hand, everything we do, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land, for good. For the Most High will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers. If, it's condition, thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law. And if thou turn unto the Most High thy power with all thine heart and with all thy soul. For this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee. It ain't hidden from us. Neither is it far off. Is it not in heaven that thou shouldest say? It is not in heaven that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven? Who gonna go up to us to heaven to receive this and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? He right there giving it to us. So he said, you got to go across the sea to get this? No. But the word is very nigh, very near to you. Thee is you. In thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it. Do it, do it, do it. Ain't talking about hear it and don't do it. You got to do it. But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it. See, I have set before thee this day, what? Life and good, and death and evil. Hear that? Life and good, and death and evil. Which one do you choose? You still got that choice right now. You can you have your own free will to do this. As the Most High set before us this day. You know what we say? See, I have set before thee this day, life and good, and death and evil. Which one do you choose? In that I command thee this day to love the Most High thy power, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. And the Most High thy power shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it. But if thine heart, with your mind, the way you think, turn away, which we did, we just read in Daniel 9:11, we did turn away from the Most High's laws, statutes, commandments, so that thou wilt not hear. You don't want to hear it? Like a lot of you say, we ain't under the law. You don't want to hear? But shall be drawn away. Allow these pork-chop eating preachers to draw you away with their madness of telling you a doctrine that's false. You turn away from the Most High. He the one that created these laws that you say you ain't got to follow, that you not under. And worship other gods, yeah, you worship other gods. Because you ain't worship the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and not doing what he say. He say, if you love me, keep my commandments. Even MASHAYACH, that's in 1 John 5:3. Even MASHAYACH said in St. John 14:15, if you love me, keep my commandments. Come on. You be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them. I denounce unto you this day that ye shall surely perish. I'm going to kill you. You're going to die. And that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land whither thou passest over Jordan to go to possess it. So I'm going to kick you out of that land. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death. That's all the choices, only choices we have until this day. You got a choice to choose life or death. That's all we have. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. You see how that is? Up, down, in, out, on, off, life, death, blessing and cursing. A balance. Therefore, choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live, both you and your children may live. See, he's telling us as adults, especially we that have children, say choose life, choose this way, so that you and your children can live. That thou mayest love the Most High thy power, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him. But he is thy life, and the length of thy days, how long you gonna live? That thou mayest dwell in the land which the Most High sware to thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. You see? And we are their lineage. So he's going to give it to us. Most High will, if we're worthy in obeying his laws, statutes, commandments. Okay, from there, look at Joshua, 23rd chapter. Joshua 23rd chapter.